Hey, welcome to Thursday Thoughts. This is my mentor and friend Dave Metzger, and we're here in Florida.
Yes.
Yes. And we literally just got done with having a celebration of this guy because he was surrounded by all the people that he has discipled and mentored. I was one of them that while going to Life Bible College got connected with him. We got to plant a church together in Glendora, and it was just absolutely incredible. And I loved seeing it. He doesn't like attention at all. He doesn't even like that I'm doing this right now. But I loved the fact that you got to see kind of in one snapshot the beauty of prioritizing discipleship above everything else. And you were a professor at Life, and you planted church as a missionary and all of these amazing things. And yet I think probably if you looked at your life, you'd probably say the most important thing that we can do with our lives is discipleship, right?
Well, it's at the core, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what did Jesus do mostly with his time?
Yeah.
Did he do doctrine? Did he write a book of doctrine? Did he, was it just all about ethics and morality? What did he really do with his time? Yes, he healed and he cast out demons, but often he would do that so that he would be able to explain how to cast out a demon and how to heal to the disciples. What did he really do? He raised up.
Let's sit right here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. He raised up.
Here, let's figure this out. Don't leave. So, what did Jesus really do with his time? He spent most of his time, besides wrestling with Pharisees, he spent most of his time raising up the leaders that would take over. He had only 3 years. And he spent most of his time investing in them, eye to eye. Sometimes there was confrontation. Some of the teaching was directly aimed toward them as preparation for what was coming. And you look at Acts chapter 1, Acts chapter 2, what happened? The leaders stepped up. There was Peter right on it.
Yeah, and they were freaking out because Jesus said, "I'm leaving," and they're thinking, well, that can't be good.
No, and I think in Acts chapter 1, when are you establishing the kingdom of Israel?
Right,
In other words, when are you going to overthrow the Roman government?
They were still on that old way of doing things.
And Jesus is like, I just spent 3 years preparing you to go and do what I have been doing and do it the way I've been doing. And in fact, it goes back to John 20:21, it's the Great Commission in the book of John. And he says, Jesus says to the disciples, excuse me, as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. You know, we've passed over that Great Commission because it actually says, go and do what I've been doing and go and be the way I have been. And so actually, Matthew 28:19 and 20, go and make disciples of all nations. A little bit easier.
Right.
Because we can make a disciple, but, we can't be like God. But Jesus was filled with the Holy Spirit, and he passed on to us the same Holy Spirit that he had. There isn't 3 or 4 Holy Spirits. There's one Holy Spirit. We're filled, and we continue his ministry today. And Jesus spent all his time, most of his time, preparing people to continue. And why are we here today? Because Jesus made disciples who would continue his ministry.
And I think most of us, whether we're watching this about to head to work or about to head to school, we're thinking, I know that's true, but how can you say that I can do what Jesus did, right? We always have that thing in the back of our head. We're like, yes, I understand that theology.
And you can wear the bracelet.
We can know the songs. I can sing the songs, and I don't even have to open my eyes. But that doesn't make me like Jesus.
Yeah, maybe one thing we need to get over is that yes, Jesus was God, but in Philippians 2, he set aside his Godhead, and he was fully human. It was incarnation. He was God in flesh, and the flesh. And it's funny how we'll say, well, he was God.
Right.
But then when we start talking about the cross, well, he took my place. He was man. So what kind of Christology? What kind of what is that?
That's really true.
What is we just decide when Jesus is God, and we decide when he was fully human while he was on this planet. John 1, He took on flesh, and then he was filled with the same Holy Spirit that we are filled with.
Right.
And so let me tell you, John, what I'm learning as I study this is when I pray for somebody, the difference is I expect something to happen. And
And you've been seeing miracles.
I mean, just recently there was a lady who I think she'd had pain in her neck for 8 years, or so, I don't remember exactly, because Jesus is the one who's going to do this,
right?
So
right.
I don't have
but
to
he's
know.
doing it through you.
Yeah, but I don't have to know all the medical
right,
or
right,
what.
Yeah.
And so be careful where you lay your hand when if somebody's got a bad shoulder. Don't just
I've done that before.
Yeah, that's not
really
so
bad.
good,
Really bad.
But I said, can I lay? Let's do this. Let's do this.
And she was healed.
She all I know is the next week when I saw her, I said, "How's your shoulder?" She said, "Well, I haven't had any pain since last week."
Wow.
And then I lost track of her. But that's what Jesus does. And she'd had pain straight for 8 years, but she hadn't had pain for the weeks since I prayed. And it's not about me. Maybe that's one of the biggest bridges of discipleship. Is it all about us, or is it all about Jesus?
And maybe that's the reason why we go, well, I'm not Jesus, because it actually sounds like a really humble excuse to not actually step out in faith and to maybe even look a little foolish. Right?
You have to be okay with not knowing all that's going on in the kingdom of darkness that's all around us, the invisible. I don't know what demons, I don't know what God's up to. So there's a risk.
Yes.
And you know what I've decided? You can do fear and be afraid of being embarrassed, like you pray and nothing happens. Or you just go ahead and pray and say, Jesus, just do this.
Right.
And if something doesn't happen, well, I don't know everything. But what about the ones where something does happen?
Right.
I got a guy who's jobless. We prayed, and nowadays it's fairly easy to get a job, but he wanted a certain kind of job. And he got his job. And you say, well, it's just chance. It's a good economy. But we prayed, and I expect something to happen.
Right. I love that. So really it comes down to, and you always challenged me to this, is to believe bigger than something that I can do on my own. And I love that about you, and I'm so thankful for your voice. In fact, that's why we're going to be bringing this guy to the Father's house, and we're going to be starting a whole series in September called Doing What Jesus Did. We're going to be looking at it on Sundays, and then we're going to be diving deep on Tuesdays at open house at the Father's house at 6:30. And I'm so excited for you guys to get to actually hear him live and in person at the Father's house. I bribed him with tacos, so he's coming. He's coming.
Here we go. Here we go. It's all about food.
Yeah.
It's the Holy Spirit, but it's all about food. No,
Well, Jesus did a lot of eating.
Well, there
so
is.
I feel like there's an alignment with that.
He fed 5,000. Let's get on with it.
He did. So for those that are listening to this right now, maybe getting ready to go to work or school, where do we start with this whole living like Jesus challenge to both be a disciple and make disciples? Where do we start? Because that seems like a tall order.
Maybe the place to start is, it's not about me.
I like that. Yeah.
It's about Jesus. He gets the glory. He does the work. It's His name. It's the Holy Spirit. And when we release it, say, okay, God, you do it. Okay, Jesus, you do it. Then I don't get anything out of this at all. No fame, no money, no nothing. I also don't get any embarrassment, because it's not about me.
You. Wow, that's very freeing.
I like praying for people after a service on Sunday, or I'm having coffee and they got a migraine. Just pray.
Yeah.
See what God will do.
I love that. I love that. So look for that opportunity, because if you're looking for it, guess what? God's going to bring it to you, right?
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much. And I can't wait for you guys to meet my mentor and my friend, Dave Metzger. God bless.